and welcome to this week's edition to the TTRPG Fantasy League with Vox Mochina saying adieu for now. We're going to look at some other groups that you might follow and consider putting those characters into your party.
That's right, Heath. While Critical Role is entering its off-season, they gave us a fantastic finale, one that if I weren't a guy, I would have actually been emotionally moved, but I am, so I wasn't. Time to see who else is out there that you can fill up your roster with.
Well, the first group we're going to look at is Masters of the Metaverse. And one thing I really like about this group is that they're all actors and they're friends, so they have a good chemistry together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, something me and you don't have.
No, not at all.
But what are some of the cons, of looking at that?
Well, one of the downsides of Masters of the Metaverse is that their cast does change out quite a bit depending on who's available. That means that if you're not really paying attention and following them on social media, then the person you have in your slot may not even be there that week.
Oh, and you miss out on all those points.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Now, probably the most important thing to remember with Masters of the Metaverse is that they are playing on a modified version of the tri-stat system. Not every league is going to allow this, so be sure to check your rules before you actually include them in your lineup.
It's sort of an odd story that they're following there, but it is a complex narrative.
Absolutely.
Which makes for a pretty entertaining campaign.
Absolutely. It seems weird, and most of the time, yeah, it's weird, especially because the viewers can affect the story. That means that anything from a town being flooded to the group being shrunk down is totally possible. But while it seems totally out there and strange, they somehow still bring out this fantastic narrative driven by the characters.
Well, that's a very good, interesting commentary there. So, like I said, if you're looking for somebody to follow besides Vox Machina there, definitely check out Masters of the Metaverse.
Next up, we mentioned them last time, but Encounter Roleplay recently entered the big leagues when they started partnering with Wizards of the Coast on the official Dungeons & Dragons Twitch stream for their Learn to Play games.
Yes, they're definitely moving into the big time there. And one thing I like about this group is that they've been playing with each other for years. And also playing Dungeons & Dragons for years. Just kidding if you're out there and member of one of the groups there. But if you know what I mean, they've got to, they know sort of what each other's thinking. They know each other's habits and characteristics of what the other character's going to do.
Yes, a group that knows each other, they don't feel any sort of reservation in getting weird. Getting in there for a good character development. Now, one of the downsides of this group is that they are not in the same physical space. They're all conferencing in from their home location. That means that if there's a tech problem, someone can lose their connection. The entire stream can possibly go down. That can really throw the narrative out the window when they have to work around someone who's trying to get their internet back up and running.
Spending more time worrying about whether or not the camera is working or the microphone's working, then those points are going to be sliding away right there.
They're going to be missing turns in combat. They are definitely not going to be able to interact and earn those gem points. Now, another thing you really want to check with is these guys, they play a lot. I'm focusing on the Learn to Play game, but they stream 6 nights a week, so be sure to check with your league rules and know which cast, which show you're putting into your lineup each week. Now, the upside is that the Learn to Play group, this is what I would consider to be their core group. Some of the people who were there at the beginning, that is their stable group. Whereas other shows might change the cast members in and out, these 4, they're there. Now, another plus to this is if you're following the Learn to Play and you're using that cast in your lineup, is that they've only had about 3 or 4 live streams. And wait a minute, why does that sound a little bit of a good thing? It's because it won't take you long to watch, to catch up, and find out what the strength and weakness of each character is, and figure out how you want to use them in your lineup.
Ah, that's a good point. You don't have to go over a whole lot of backstory. You know, like, for instance, the Vox Mochina had 120 something episodes, I believe. And
They actually ended on 115, but if you count the one shots and the extra events, it definitely was over 120 over their 2-year run. And that's just what they live streamed. That doesn't count the 2.5 years of just playing for fun. And next up, we had the C Team, the offshoot of Acquisitions Inc. Now, Heath, they are a really good, stable group. And I would say that if there's a downside to them, it's that, well, they're more of a comedic entertainment story. They're not going to pull on your heartstrings as often as they're going to tap on that funny bone. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not.
There is still character development. There is still growth.
But they play all in the same room. That's
Yes.
a good thing. Yeah, they're, like you said, some of the other members of some other groups possibly just do it all on the streaming. You know,
Yeah.
you've just got alone in the camera room, and so they can't interact with the others quite as well as they can
Absolutely.
when they're all seeing each other's body language.
Absolutely. There is definitely a deeper connection when people are in the room. You know, whether it's a joke or whether it's a hug, it matters that you're there with the person. Now, another thing going in their favor is that this cast, they are actors, they are performers, they really get into their characters. And again, that helps so much more. Anybody can play the game, but if you're going to be in front of an audience, you got to have that stage presence.
That's right. You just better bring your A game. A stands for acting.
The A game for the C Team.
But one of the things they got going for them is they're a small but stable cast. So you know that week in, week out, those player slots, if you go with one of them, are going to be full and gaining you points.
Absolutely, Heath. They might bring in the occasional guest, but the 4 main players are there week in and week out. And this is a little bit of a bonus, but because they are an offshoot of the C Team, they are actually very likely to, join in during some of the convention streams. Much like how we recently saw Strix join Acquisitions Inc. for a couple of their live streams at PAX East or West, probably both. It's possible for some of these people to step into that role. So you never know when your player is going to get an extra game out of it.
One of the things that you brought up in the past before about this group is that it's really done with high production values.
Absolutely, Heath. It doesn't add to the score you're going to be getting from your players, but then again, a good tech crew behind the scenes means that the players, they don't have to worry about cameras or microphones that often. It's one less thing to take them out of their element and let them focus on just the game.
That's right. They can just stay in the moment and kill, kill, kill.
Absolutely.
All right, and the next group we're going to take a look at, and I love the name of this group, Girls, Guts, and Glory. It's an all-female group, of course. And these girls are what you might call a potential for growth, I guess you might say.
Absolutely. While their live stream is new, having only done their 3rd episode last night, they actually did some online shows. They just did it all in one setting and then released the episodes. So for them, stepping into the live stream is a new thing. How's that good for you? Again, very easy to follow up on the characters and the narrative and pick the characters you want in your role. The downside, they are new to streaming, and that has those technical problems we've been talking about. They show up and they do what they do. They take people out of their moment.
That's right. And again, that's something that you really have to pay attention to. You really want a good, clean technical aspect Production values doesn't have to be just super perfect, but it does have to be, you might say, consistent.
Yeah. But they are learning, they are getting better, they have a good crew behind the scenes. It's all just, it's live. You're trying it out, seeing what works. Not everyone is the consummate professional I am. Another thing going for them is that they are all friends before the game started. So they had that great chemistry. They know each other and how to work with that character right off the bat.
They just play along with each other so well, and what might come off as, somewhat goofy or something like that, the other players just know that character so well, and that other person rather.
That's right.
And they can just roll with it.
That's right. They're able to take jabs at each other, and they're able to roll with the punches at the same time. Now, if you were watching their original run, they were in full costume every episode. While they're not doing that for the live stream, they are keeping some of their costume elements. And you know what, Heath? To me, that is a little bit more of the performer coming out. It helps to keep you a little bit more in character when you have wings on your back or horns on your head.
Yeah, that's right. And that, because you're dressing up, those characters will play it up even more.
Yes.
And thus earning you those extra bonus points.
Absolutely. They are definitely there in the moment, in character. Now, what's the other downside of this group? Is that they are performers, and that means that they have a day job. And those day jobs for actors means you don't always know what your schedule is going to be.
Oh, what it would be like if we were all professional Dungeons & Dragons players.
Oh, I know. That's the dream. But while this cast does change out every now and then, they do have some pretty stable people. But you do have to follow them on social media and keep up with where their jobs are and where they can be. They all want to be at the game, but we all got bills to pay. So there you are. That is 4 more groups that you can be following. That's a lot of potential, Heath.
Oh, yes, it is. And who knows? One of these groups could really go on a roll and just explode in terms of the amount of followers and so forth like that, and just make for a great long-term campaign.
You're right, Heath. These are characters that are going to be around for a while. Their shows are going to keep running. Their campaigns are going to grow. There's so much potential. I mean, a lot of character growth. You're going to get a lot of gems with them. There's going to be a lot of battles. You just got to go in there, find out who is right for your lineup.
That's right. Everybody has their own ideas for what is perfect for your own fantasy party. And if you pick from either one of these groups, pick one from here, one from the other group, I think you could have a very, very strong cast.
Absolutely. And besides just being able to follow them and build up your fantasy league, the other plus side is they are all very entertaining to watch. I mean, you're going to be following these people. You're going to be putting them in your lineup. You might as well have fun watching them while you're in your leagues.
Absolutely. Enjoy the show.